Well, I think they're always the same. You got a unbelievably difficult schedule. We start off with our first 5 games, 4 against teams that are ranked in the top 18 in the nation in terms of some various polls. So I don't know that we would have a more difficult start. We're surely not going to be able to work our way into the season. And I think overcoming the issues that kind of plagued us last year. We certainly, everybody talks about it's great to have a lot of people back, and I'd agree with that. But we have a lot of guys back from a team that underachieved last year. So our growth and learning from those failures and why it wasn't quite as good a year. And I know 20 wins is and we finished second in the league, and I get that. But to me, the way I view it, the way I've always viewed it is, did we maximize the group? Did we reach our potential as a team? And we fell short of that. And so guys, coaches as well, understanding why that happened and then working to make sure that we tighten those areas up. Well, we want to get a true gauge of where we are. You're going to play West Texas A&M, who's number 5 in the country. Davenport's, I think, number 12. And you're going to face great competition. You're going to play those 2 games in a span of like less than 24 hours. And so you're going to get truth right away. We're going to figure out exactly where we are, where we need to grow, what we're doing well, win or lose those 2 games. It's going to be great for us in terms of facilitating growth the rest of the way, because you come back and Aiken's top 20 and Christian Brothers is top 20 and Queens is coming in December 7th and on and on and on it goes. So our first 9 or 10 games we're playing 5 teams nationally ranked. So it's not like the challenges end when we leave Missouri, but Missouri is going to give us a great barometer of where we are as a group, where we need to grow, and certainly kind of take that moving forward and hopefully be better for it. As you get truth, I think as long as you handle the truth and learn from it appropriately or the right way, you can really grow from that. Well, I think when you look at Cameron Calhoun, he's been here 5 years and came in as like a lot of our guys do, came in as an entry-level guy, and now he's a CEO. You watch these guys over 5 years. Cam has really seen it all. I've challenged him and the rest of the returners to lead well. And to really set a great example. Cam has experienced it all. He's been to the national championship. He's been to multiple Final Fours. He's won multiple regular season titles, played a #1 team in the country, and then he was part of last year's group that didn't succeed or wasn't as successful as it could have been. So he's got great perspective. He's a guy that gets everything out of his ability. I don't know that we've had a guy who's any tougher, any smarter than Cam Calhoun, and you love those guys that squeeze every drop out of themselves, and he's a winner. I would never ever bet against Cam in anything. He's a winner. Anthony came in, I thought, made a terrific impact for us last year. Coming in from junior college, that's never easy. He came in and averaged almost 12 points, and Anthony's a guy that stuffs the stat sheet. He led us in assists with 99. I think he averaged close to 6 rebounds a game, just like Cam Calhoun was named all-conference, honorable mention all-conference last year. But he's a guy that is kind of the engine, needs to get this thing running. He's got a lot of guys around him, so finding that balance of being aggressive to score, because he can certainly put the ball in the basket, and then also creating offense and being a facilitator, distributor, and kind of finding that equilibrium in those 2 things is going to be important for us. He's a much improved defender. Anthony's a great kid, loves to play, is I think completely bought in terms of trying to help this team be the very best it can be and working himself to be the very best he can be. So that's really those 2 guys. When you get into combo guards, I think Julius Brown, returner from last year, played a lot as a freshman, a true freshman, averaged over 8 points a game, and I think arguably is as good a defender as there is in the league. He's a guy that when he comes into a game, his energy or his tenacity kind of jacks up our energy. He's a guy that plays so hard, and defensively he's into the ball, and it gets everybody cranked up, and so he's a guy that we really feed off. He's a like I said, his ability to guard various positions, the job he did, in against Wingate in the conference, in the conference tournament, Marco Haskins. I mean, he just does an unbelievable job guarding. And then again, he's a guy that's a jet quick point guard, can play with the ball, can play off the ball, can shoot. He shot, I think, in the high 30s from 3 last year and made around 43s or a little more. So he's certainly capable of knocking it down, and then he gets in the lane and he can certainly draw help and makes good decisions in there. Helps generate shots for guys. Jeremiah Keene's a true freshman that's coming in, and he's a guy that has really been impressive so far through the first couple months. Just plays with a poise and a maturity that's well beyond his years. He's a true freshman, 18-year-old kid, but you wouldn't know it the way he plays. Plays with a great demeanor, again a great poise, and I think our guys, he's never out of sorts. And he can really does kind of a jack of all trades. He guards fairly well. He's a good shooter. He's got a really nice intermediate game. Simple passer, makes good decisions, doesn't turn the ball over, does all the right things defensively, rebounding, all that. Like I said, well beyond what you would think. One of the biggest keys for freshmen coming in is developing, we call those winning habits, and all those small things that go in that differentiate winning and losing. And he comes in and he just picks up stuff very quickly. He's incredibly intuitive, incisive player, and is a guy that we think will help us and play a significant role for us here in the 19-20 season. We have some swings that we're really excited about. Guys that are kind of in the same bucket in terms of positionally, small forward, but we can certainly play them together. And a lot of times you'll see us with, because really Cam Calhoun's a swing as well. We'll play sometimes 3-4 swings together, but that's probably our deepest position. Cavassier McCauley, all freshman team last year. It was, didn't play much until middle of February. I think he was, we were looking at it. We played Queens here in early February, and he played like 3 minutes in the game. I just wasn't at a point where he was doing enough stuff. We knew he could score, but there's all the other intangible things, and he kind of, light came on for him, and I think he averaged 16 or 17 a game the last 7 or 8 games. Went from not playing to playing off the bench to starting. And really by the end of the season was playing as well as anybody on our team. He's improved as much from one year to the next as anybody we've had. He's really become a more efficient player. He's more bought into what he needs to do defensively. We always talk about being a two-way player and being an efficient player. And he's much more efficient, and I think he's definitely more committed on both ends. We think he can have a really special year. Other swings, Cam Henry averaged 10.5 and 6 as a freshman last year, and another guy that just kind of, he's the glue. Everything, he kind of holds everything together. Cam, you look at his game, and there's not one thing that he does maybe at an elite level, but he can do everything. He's a plus defender. He shot right around 40% from 3. He can drive, and he's a good finisher. He's a terrific rebounder. I mean, he kind of touches the game and impacts the game in a tremendous amount of areas. And that's what the best players do. They impact winning in the most areas. And so Cam's a guy that will be out there because he's the glue that kind of makes the right plays, makes the right decisions, doesn't turn it over, and then he defends and rebounds. Alex Dalling, another swing that was averaged a little over 9 last year. I think he made right around 73s, a little over 40%. Alex is battling a foot injury, and all year, and wound up having surgery after the season, and he looks significantly improved, and just so the way it's helped him defensively, laterally. It's helped him in terms, I think he's moving better on the offensive end, and he's just playing with a lot of confidence. Alex is one of the best shooters, not only in the league, but probably in the country. He's got, range that really, skews the chessboard because he can shoot it out to 25, 26, 27 feet and consistently make them. We haven't had that really since Jalen Steele in 15, 16. So those kind of guys, just being out there, their presence out there creates unbelievable space for their teammates to be able to operate. Again, it really skews the chessboard when you got to account for somebody that far out. Alex rebounds. He's tough, much like Cam Calhoun. He's a guy that just really is completely about the group, team first, and is selfless and as hard a worker, as we've had in the program. Devin Whitfield, you mentioned him, transferred in last year from Trevecca Nazarene, had a great 2-year run there. I think, averaged basically a little over 20 a game as a sophomore, but also better than 7 rebounds, and I think he led him in assists as well. So Devin's a guy that can touch the game in a lot of areas. His effort level is through the roof. Nobody on our team, nobody I've coached has a higher motor than Devin. He just plays unbelievably hard every possession. He's got to, like everybody, there's a transition from he was at Trevecca and he was, head and shoulders the best player and everything went through him, and now he's playing with some other good players. So how he adapts to that, how he learns to complement those guys, kind of how he finds his game alongside of the other good players, I think will dictate, the type of success he's had. But we've had a great, track record with guys coming from the D2 ranks and transferring in and sitting that year. You look at Jarrell Simmons, you look at Trayvon Shaw, the careers they had here the last 2 years. It says a lot about a guy when he's in a situation where he's the best player, everything's run through him, and they want to go somewhere where they feel like they have a better opportunity to win, as opposed to it shows that they're, certainly want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. We found that with Jarrell, we found that with Trayvon, and Devin's certainly in that same mold, and I think he could have very similar results to what those two guys had done in terms of his talent, his ability, and as he acclimates and gets comfortable, we think sky's the limit for him. Cam Calhoun started for us at the 5 last year, and he'll certainly play some 5 this year. I don't know if he'll start there, but he'll play. Rondi Hackett's a 5th-year senior, has been here, has shown he's a really talented guy, and he's a great kid. He has shown in spurts and glimpses of how good he can be, and then there's other times where he's not been able to sustain that. That's going to be the challenge for him as a 5th-year senior is, can he sustain it? Can he be consistent? And we've seen a lot of guys in that 5th year that had struggled maybe in that area, and best examples, recent examples, Paul Woodson, Hunter Spall in 2016-17 hadn't been big contributors for 4 years, and 5th-year seniors, they're huge pieces of a team that goes to the Final Four. And sometimes that 5th year, you're 22, 23 years old, you've been through the wars, you understand it, you know what it takes, and the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel is there, and it kind of brings some clarity and some focus and urgency. And I've seen that with Rondi. He's had a really good preseason. He's played the best basketball he's ever played, here, and he's been pretty consistent in terms of his production effort and all the things that we need him to do to be successful. Our system, the 5s, have a lot of responsibility on both ends of the floor, and so it's a difficult position, but we've had a lot of guys, when you look at Emmanuel Terry, Chris Berry, Vinny Bailey, et cetera, go on, that we're big men here, that we're 5s, that we're all American level guys, because if they get it, then a lot of they're kind of the linchpin of what we do on the offensive end, and they're the guys that kind of coordinate our defense, and they keep things together defensively. They are the center fielders defensively, so, and they got to anchor that end of the floor. In terms of Shaq Romley, phenomenal athlete. I think our best rebounder on both ends of the floor, does a great job of generating second chance opportunities for us. Will be as athletic as any big man. He's just figuring out how to play. And I think that's, he didn't pick up basketball till his senior year of high school, so he's really played 1 year of high school, 2 years of JUCO, redshirted last year. This is his 5th year of organized basketball. He was a volleyball player, which sometimes when you watch him catch, you can understand that he was a volleyball player. But he's a guy that again, really in the same mold of Devin, where motor is turned up all the time, plays exceptionally hard, wants to be good, works, has a lot of talent, and again, just how hard he plays combined with his athleticism will allow him to impact the game and to affect the game. And so those two, then you look at Cam Calhoun, who started for us last year and was, all league, playing the center as an undersized center. He'll certainly do that. Again, how many minutes really depends on how well Rondi and Shaq are able to man it. We'd like to play traditional in the sense that having a true big out there instead of playing with a 6'4", 6'5" center. But we'll play whatever way we think gives us the best chance to be successful.